They call it the silent thief because you don't even notice it's happening. Not at first. One missed appointment, one forgotten word lingering on the tip of your tongue. You laugh it off, call it a senior moment. But somewhere inside, a quiet fear plants itself like a seed. Is this how it starts? I didn't think much of it when my mother began misplacing her glasses. We all do that, right? But as the little slips became bigger, missing whole conversations, confusing old memories, it felt like watching the lights dim, one by one, in the house I used to know so well. I began to wonder, was this fate written for all of us? Or was there still time to fight back, quietly, naturally, before the thief made itself at home? The answers I found were more surprising and more hopeful than anything I could have imagined. When someone you love starts to slip away, it's not like a dramatic scene in a movie. There's no loud alarm, no sudden fall. Instead, it's a slow erosion, a forgetting of birthdays, a hesitation over the name of a childhood friend, a question repeated twice in the same conversation. Tiny things that, piece by piece, steal the mosaic of a life. I made a promise, both to myself and to my mother. I wouldn't sit by and watch without a fight. But not just any fight. Not a fight fueled by fear or pharmaceuticals, a fight with nature, on nature's own terms, one that would build resilience from the inside out. And so, I began searching. Not for a miracle cure, but for every small thing that might tip the balance back in our favor. At first, I did what almost everyone does. I turned to the shelves lined with gleaming bottles, memory boosters, brain tonics, endless promises in tiny capsules. Each one offered hope. Each one whispered the same thing. Maybe this will fix it. But when I dug deeper, a different story emerged. A quieter, older truth buried beneath all the noise. Memory isn't something you can patch together with quick fixes. It's a garden. It needs daily care, patience, sunlight, and love. The more I read, the more I realized nature already left us the clues, scattered in what we eat, how we move, how we breathe, how we connect with others. I began to wonder, what if memory loss wasn't just a random act of aging? What if it was something we unknowingly accelerated, and something we could also slow down? The most heartbreaking truth? Many people lose their memories not because they have to, but because no one ever told them how to protect it. The more research I uncovered, the clearer it became. Memory loss isn't just biological, it's emotional. High cortisol, the stress hormone, shrinks the hippocampus, the very part of the brain responsible for memories. Meaning, living under stress can actually starve your memory, not in dramatic, visible ways, but drip by drip, day after day, like a hidden leak in the roof you don't notice until the ceiling caves in. This realization hit me hard, because it meant the true battle wasn't just against forgetting, it was against fear itself. Memory didn't just need vitamins and puzzles. It needed peace. It needed joy. It needed purpose. It needed a life full enough, rich enough, to want to be remembered. And maybe, just maybe, that life could still be built, even now. 1. Daily movement. Rebuilding the mind, one step at a time. When I was a child, my grandfather took a walk every single morning without fail. Rain or shine, he'd lace up his old sneakers and head down the winding road by our house, whistling a tune I never quite recognized. Back then, I thought it was just one of his funny old habits. I never realized he was quietly fighting for his memory with every step. It wasn't until much later, when his friends began struggling to remember names, places, and faces, that I understood what he had built. A fortress, one step at a time. Inspired by him, I started my own simple ritual. A 20-minute walk each morning. No fancy gym, no intense training. Just me, the rising sun, and the crunch of gravel beneath my shoes. Walking increases blood flow to the brain, sending a rush of oxygen and nutrients to the hippocampus, the very part responsible for forming new memories. It triggers the release of brain-derived neurotrophic factor, a kind of fertilizer for growing new neurons. Every step I took wasn't just forward, it was upward, toward a stronger, sharper mind. Even better? The benefits aren't reserved for athletes. Studies show that even light, consistent movement can slow memory loss dramatically over time. But protecting the brain from decay meant more than just moving the body. It meant nourishing it from within. 2. Colorful foods, nature's memory medicine. I still remember the day I sat with my mother at her small kitchen table, watching her carefully slice strawberries into a worn ceramic bowl. Her hands moved slowly, but there was a kind of sacred grace to it, almost like she was painting with color. Bright reds, deep blues, sunny oranges. She didn't know it, but she was preparing a kind of armor for her mind, one small fruit at a time. After her diagnosis, I went back to that memory often. Was it coincidence that the years she ate the most naturally were also the years her memory was strongest? That question led me deeper into the science of food and brain health. And what I found changed the way I looked at every single plate I touched. Brightly colored fruits and vegetables are rich in antioxidants, tiny warriors that fight off oxidative stress, one of the biggest culprits behind memory decline. Blueberries, spinach, broccoli, turmeric, all silent protectors, working day after day without applause. They help reduce inflammation, repair damaged cells, and fuel the brain's intricate memory networks. Eating vibrant foods isn't just about health. It's about sending a daily love letter to your future self. But no amount of nutrition could replace one crucial thing: the need to challenge the mind. 3. Mind games, strengthening the invisible muscles. There was a tiny cafe downtown I used to visit with my father. Every Saturday morning, we'd sit by the window with steaming cups of coffee and a newspaper folded between us, tackling the crossword puzzle together. Some clues we solved easily, others we argued over for half an hour. But the ritual wasn't really about right answers. It was about sharpening the invisible muscles that memory depends on. When I started seeing the signs of memory loss creeping in, I remembered those mornings. I pulled out a dusty old puzzle book from the back of a shelf. At first, I stumbled. Words slipped away. Connections took longer. But slowly, almost imperceptibly, I began to get sharper. Crosswords, Sudoku, brain teasers. They aren't just hobbies. They're workouts for the mind. Each challenge strengthens the synapses, the tiny bridges between neurons, keeping them flexible, fast, and alive. The best part? It's never too late to start. Neuroplasticity, the brain's ability to adapt and grow, doesn't disappear with age. It simply needs to be invited back to the surface. If this resonates with you, if these small stories remind you of someone you love, or even of yourself, don't wait until the memories slip further away. There is still so much we can do, still so many tiny steps that build a fortress of strength around our most precious moments. If you're finding hope in this journey, I invite you to subscribe. Join a community where growing older doesn't mean losing who we are. It means deepening, strengthening, and celebrating every part of our story. And stay with me until the end, because the next steps we're about to explore might just be the missing pieces you've been searching for. 4. Deep sleep rituals, the silent healer. There was a time in my life when I wore exhaustion like a badge of honor. Late nights at the office, early mornings fueled by caffeine. I thought it made me stronger. But deep down, my mind was crumbling in ways I couldn't yet see. One night, after a particularly stressful day, I caught my reflection in the mirror. Hollow eyes, tense jaw, a body running on empty. It hit me like a thunderclap. I wasn't just losing energy. I was losing memory. That was the night I made a promise. I would honor sleep like it was sacred. I built tiny rituals to guide me back. A steaming cup of chamomile tea before bed, soft, meditative music, reading old favorite books instead of scrolling through glowing screens. Slowly, night after night, my mind began to change. Sleep isn't just rest, it's repair. During deep sleep, the brain files memories into long-term storage, clears out toxins, and strengthens neural connections. Skipping sleep is like trying to build a house on shifting sand. When I prioritized true rest, it felt like my mind was being stitched back together. Quietly, gently, stitch by precious stitch. But I soon learned that even sleep's healing touch needed another ingredient: the human heart. 5. Social connection. Medicine in laughter. After my mother's memory started to fade, there were days she barely recognized familiar faces. But there was one thing that always sparked a light behind her eyes: laughter. A visit from an old friend. A silly joke told at the kitchen table. A family dinner filled with teasing and old stories. For a few precious minutes, it was as if time reversed itself, and she came back to us fully, glowing with life. That's when I realized something profound. Loneliness doesn't just hurt the heart, it shrinks the brain. Studies have shown that social isolation accelerates cognitive decline at alarming rates. Meanwhile, meaningful conversations, shared meals, even simple handshakes flood the brain with chemicals that protect memory and mood. It isn't the number of friends that matters. It's the depth of connection. One genuine conversation a day, one shared laugh, one real moment of presence. Those tiny moments stack up like bricks, building walls against the erosion of forgetfulness. But even connection needed something deeper, a way to calm the hidden battles raging inside. 6. Mindful breathing, the forgotten shield. I first discovered the power of breath during a moment of complete panic, standing in a crowded grocery store, overwhelmed, heart pounding in my ears. It felt like the world was closing in. Somehow, instinctively, I closed my eyes and breathed, in and out, slow, steady. Within moments, the storm inside me began to calm. That simple act of mindful breathing became one of the most powerful tools I had ever found. When we breathe deeply, fully, we send a message to the nervous system. You are safe. Cortisol levels drop. The hippocampus, the memory vault of the brain, gets a chance to rest and rebuild. 5 minutes a day of conscious breathing became my secret weapon, a daily declaration that I refused to live under siege. Every breath became a small rebellion, a quiet act of protection. But the final, and perhaps most beautiful, key to memory wasn't just about protecting the mind, it was about opening the heart. 7. Gratitude practice. Rebuilding the mind from the heart out. It started with a journal, a plain, spiral-bound notebook I found buried in a drawer. I opened it one morning, still groggy from sleep, and wrote the first thing that came to mind. I'm grateful for sunlight. It felt small, almost embarrassingly simple. But something inside shifted, and the next morning I wrote again. I'm grateful for the smell of coffee. What began as a trickle soon became a flood. Names, memories, moments, all tumbling onto the page. It turns out, gratitude physically reshapes the brain. When we consciously practice thankfulness, we strengthen the hippocampus and encourage the growth of new neural pathways. Gratitude acts like a balm, soothing inflammation and rewiring thought patterns toward resilience. Every thank you wasn't just a feeling, it was an act of architecture, brick by brick, rebuilding my mind from the inside out. And slowly, life didn't just stay in my memory. It lived there, bright, vivid, precious. I look back now, and I realize memory isn't just about recalling names, dates, or places. It's about remembering who we are. It's about the life we fought for, the love we gave, the lessons we lived. The moments that made everything worth it. The small daily choices we make, moving our bodies, eating colours of the earth, laughing with others, breathing deeply, finding gratitude even in dark moments. They aren't small at all. They are acts of preservation, acts of devotion, acts of rebellion against the slow erosion of time. Memory loss may come for all of us in one form or another, but it doesn't have to steal everything. We can build fortresses, we can grow gardens, we can breathe life into the fading embers and watch them burn bright again. And it all starts with one choice, one small step, one breath, one thank you. Today, if this story resonated with you, I invite you to be part of this journey with me. Subscribe, and let's keep building memories, not just for ourselves, but for everyone we love. Because the best memories aren't behind us, they're still waiting for us to create them. Your friend, Gertrude.